And welcome back to the Battle Babes. I hope you were able to tune in for our previous episode with our Division D champion, John. This episode will feature our Division C champion, Scott.
And we are here with our D winner, Scott. Congratulations.
Yeah, C Division took it home for the Hamilton family. I can't believe that happened, actually. I am astounded and surprised, but I was happy to take it.
Okay, so expand on that a little bit more, because people might not realize, because it's not just you. You started the league just with you, but then you swindled your brother into it, right?
Strong-armed.
Yeah.
Picked him up by his underarms, carried him in, and said, "Hey, guy, here's some friends." And it's like, oh no, James was having a set of teeth removed at the time, so it was just like, oh, that's not really gonna work for you. You're gonna have a swollen face. You're not gonna want to play. And he's like, go do it on your own. Okay, bud, sure. But eventually there was a vacancy in the league simply because somebody got a new job. I believe it was Andre. And I asked James, and it's just like, hey, we have this opening. These people are really cool. I play with them. It's a great time. Do you want to join in? I'll even pay for your entry fee. And he's just like, okay, sure, no problem. So walk him through the process of building a lance and trying to get him to read the packet, which made Lee so super happy. And here we are after 13 games, and then finally actually having to face him in the finals, which was surprising again. I happened to go off against Carlo, who was actually my game one, which is why I'm a little bit surprised why I took the trophy for C, if you will.
Oh, and why is that? Did you lose to him when you first played him?
No, I beat him, but the records that I had mid-season were just awful. It was like 0-4, 0-4, 1-4. I was like, oh God, Comstar just isn't doing it for me. But I kind of recouped and managed to take it home, even if it was down to pips. So crazy stuff.
Yeah, it was down to pips though, wasn't it? You tie game, they actually had to count your damage.
58 points extra over Carlo. A couple extra ghost shots, C3I, it won the day. That Thunderhawk is scary.
So counting pips, you guys had to count pips. What did it end up coming down to? Do you know?
I know that I have mine still with me, and it was 193 was dealt to me, and then I dealt 58 more to Carlo's side. So somehow, yes, I edged out the win, which I'm actually really happy about.
Hey, you know what? A close game is better than a complete blowout.
Which is exactly what I wanted from Carlo. Great player. I want to see him again, but he may be going off to New Zealand for a bit. He's going traveling for the next season, and he's not going to be here in December.
That's unfortunate.
That is sad.
You're coming back next season though, yeah?
Probably, unless life gets in the way, which I don't think it will, question mark, but we'll see.
Drag your brother in kicking and screaming again?
Yeah, and possibly other friends, I don't know.
That's all right.
Get the recruitment posters up. Recruitment.
Yeah. Talk to the boys about that. They could definitely put it out there a little bit more, but also looking at the numbers, because if it gets too big, then they're going to have to look at splitting it into separate days. I don't even know what the different options could be for it.
I mean, taking over the entirety of Ogre's Den would be kind of crazy.
It'd be kind of cool, but then neither of them would be able to play at all.
Yeah. Need more admins.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's another conversation for another time, because we might have to kill people. I mean, let's
No.
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 It's not bad. I think we're all ready for the season to be done.
I can tell.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to see, but it's a lot of work, and I do appreciate all the effort.
So you won the game. What were, other than having to count pips, were there any other memorable parts to your game, or anything that you just kind of were stunned by, or anything like that?
Well, I would have liked this Blackhawk had a piece of level 1 terrain not gotten in the way of 3 Gauss rifle shots. So that was sad for me. And yeah, I rolled a lot of leg hits in the game. I don't know why. Usually it's a lot more spread out across the torsos. That Thunderhawk, as I mentioned, is scary. I managed to tag it early with the Einarch pod on Haywire, which everybody hates, and I know why. He was having issues. There was one point where I was a little bit further away and he struck my exterminator with 3 Gauss rifle shots, but it all went across the torsos. Left, center, right. And I was like, don't fall down. Didn't fall down. Mask did not explode on me either because I took Edge, which was a very intelligent suggestion from JP, Jeff Painter, which saved that mech's day. And then it was kind of a retreating battle from there because trying to navigate a way through those Guardian ECM suites kind of difficult. I learned a lot about that over the course of the season, how my lance interacts with them. Some people didn't have them, which was very fortunate for me. Like my brother, he ran no electronics. Carlo ran 2 suites of electronics. I'm like, gosh darn it, this is not a good time.
I wouldn't have known what to do. I've never played against really Guardian ECM. I've played against just basic ECM, I think. I don't know, unless I'm talking in my ass.
Well, it basically interrupts line of sight for my C3 units. So if I'm on either side of a mech, neither one are going to get the benefit because it's blocked.
Right.
And I tried using that flanking tactic. It works a little bit, but your ability to screen it is pretty high, especially with his mobile stuff. I was pretty impressed with the selection. I just think it was overall a great game. I wouldn't have had it any other way, and I know that Carlo could have taken it easily had he just hit a couple more times. I haywired 3 of his mechs, so that's why he couldn't.
Ugh, haywire pods.
See, there it is. The disdain.
What the hell are haywire pods?
Basically, it makes it so that your gunnery skill goes up 1 higher, not down. So if you have a 4, it goes to a 5. When you're trying to fire.
And until you knock it off, it's there. Unfortunately, when I got hit with the haywire pods, they beamed me in the head.
Ooh.
And there was no way I was going to try and knock them off, because that's all I need is to miss and take a head hit.
But you still need to roll on the chart. I understand where you're going with that, because one of the other games, or all the first 3 games I had, people tried to take them off and they all beamed themselves in the face, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you have to knock them off as you would an elemental. It's a 9-up because it's 4 plus your piloting to try and knock it off successfully. You could do it twice in the movement phase if you want, but it's a 9-up. So not everybody can do it. Not everyone wants to do it, and certain players just don't bother because short range is short range is short range.
Yep, I didn't bother. I left them alone.
Yeah, I never came up with those. When I didn't play anybody with C3 this year, but last year I played against them. Played against all 3 teams that had C3 last year. Yeah, I was going to say I lost all of those games, but no, because I played Lee the first game last year, and I didn't lose to him. But I lost to all of them the rest of the season.
Yeah, they'd be nasty. It definitely helped.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's your first season with us playing, but was there anybody that you were disappointed not to play that you hope maybe next year you do?
I never got the chance to chat with Aaron. Justin, I know that my brother got to play with once, and he seems like a fantastic guy. I didn't play with either of you two, so that's kind of a Debbie Downer. But then there was also, I think his name was Devin. He was running around with a Merrick Lance, didn't play him, wanted to. Brandon, we had the buy-win scenario for me. I wanted to play him, but we didn't. There's a whole bunch of play opportunities there, and I know that eventually, by sticking with it, eventually I'll get paired up with somebody. There were no real do-overs except for the game with me and Carlo, which was, a rematch.
That's kind of nice. I like playing someone else. I played earlier in the year. I did that last year against 2 people, I think, actually. Yeah, I kind of like that. You can see how both of your lances adjusted over the season and how they changed, but you were on the luckier end than I was when I had that. I always end up losing to the person. One of the only times I've ever lost to Lee was the second time I played him last year.
He learned.
Yeah. I try not to get stuck on that because he does not. I have the better score playing him, but not when it really counts, I guess.
Yeah, I think I had a double up. Yeah, my very first match of the year this year was Chris M.
Mm-hmm.
And then we faced each other in playoffs. I beat him the first game, if I remember correctly, and he beat me the second game. But it came down to them having to look at our sheets and find that I actually had a crippled mech.
That did it.
Yeah.
Anything that you really enjoyed? I don't know if we've already asked that question. That's where my brain is right now, but...
Well, we got to the highlights of the last game for sure. I mean, throughout the season, I took a king crab with a C3I system, so I'm like, oh yeah, double Gauss rifles, maybe headshots. I got one, and it was against Corey's Griffin, which I crippled through a gyro shot. That was a through armor crit, and I'm still very surprised that happened because he could use seize the initiative the following turn had I not head capped his Griffin. He was sad about it. Corey's a great guy, love playing him. It's just bad luck for him and his unit. There was a point where I was going against Jeff Painter and I wanted to quit. I was just like, I can't freaking do this. Yours is way too good. All my stuff. My exterminator had its head caved in by a stupid sword on turn 2, and my hopper got shut down on turn 3. And it's just like, okay, plasma rifles suck. Thanks for the education, Jeff. Can we move on? I think that was probably the low point, and it just peaked. It went back up because I had to just take myself away from that game, come back for the following, and sure, I lost it, which is fine, but there's a lot of things that you do learn even on the losing side. And with my brother and I, we tend to go back and forth. It's usually one win for me, one win for him. Sometimes I get 2 in a row. Sometimes he gets 2 in a row. But it gets very samey with some of the tactics that are used in between the two, even if we happen to build mock units to see how well we're going to do against the opposing team. We've done that a couple times, which was fun. Very time consuming, but fun. I learned a lot by playing a lot of other players, and that's really the highlight for me. Even on the losing side, I did appreciate every single game.
Well, and that's the best way to look at it, right? Like, you can't learn without having those experiences, right? As a teacher, it's not a fail, it's a chance to try again, or it's a chance to learn something.
Yeah, and just hopeful that a lot of the stuff is going to make James and I actually better at doing the teach-outs. We actually have something coming up in Imaginary Wars this weekend on Saturday, which is cool. And I've been in talks with Calvin over at Ogre's Den about trying to arrange stuff there as well. So we'll be splitting our efforts and seeing how we happen to be able to run a couple events. It's going to be exciting.
That sounds really good. You'll have to make sure that you let everybody know in Discord. Like, even if they don't need to go to the learning events, they might know other people, or they might even want to come out and help offer a hand. I know a lot of the guys like to share their knowledge, and I've seen over the years, like Laura and I have talked about this, like there's a lot of the guys that have gone from being the domineering, this is the way you play a game, to sitting down and actually talking you through their thoughts or asking you questions instead of saying, hey, this is the way you should do it. They'll say, hey, so why did you do this? Or like when I've played JP in the past, he'll say, when I'm getting ready to do something, and he'll like, why are you doing that? Like, walk me through it, which is kind of cool because in most games, you don't have that kind of stuff.
No, he's a really good mentor.
Of course, at the time of this, when this gets released, Scott's event at Imaginary Wars will be done.
Sure will.
It will be. And that's okay. But it still gives people an idea that you guys have, that's where you guys call your home base for the things that you guys run, correct?
Was before we got introduced to Ogre's Den. We just happened to know the owner, Kyle, at least on the offside, and I actually engaged him to start up the whole Teach Out Battletech thing because I got super excited after the clan invasion Kickstarter happened. I was just like, I can't believe I got this. It's great, Battletech is back. I actually want to teach people what I know about the game, even if it was small, so that we could amp up the response. And then it was, oh, hey, by the way, there's already an existing community that does this. And I was like, what? I'm not alone? Excellent.
Well, and I think it'd be cool to have some other leagues in town. If you're not doing it on the same day, you could have people being in both and getting the feedback. But I think it's cool that you guys came along and have joined us. I think you guys have fit in quite well with our little group of, I don't know, wanderers.
Misfits.
That's the word I was looking for.
I'm glad I wasn't the first person to say it, but yes, I agree with that.
What are some of the things you are looking forward to for next year?
I mean, playing as the clans is cool and all. I did like the mercenary lists; those were really strong. I didn't see a lot of Davion activity, and I'm interested to see how the rules are going to be tweaked for a couple things. I actually like the Davion side of things a lot, but most of the mechs didn't have racks installed by itself for retarding computers or both. So it made it kind of hard for me to choose that. I'd like to see how the retweet goes with the battle value balancing and all that too. So I have a couple ideas as to what I'd want to play. From what I understand, you can't be the same faction twice in a row, but I'm okay with that. Comstar had a run with me, and that's fine.
That's the scuttlebutt. They've talked about it because that's what they're saying, but the final decisions haven't come out because there's been different talks about clans, what to do with them to kind of even them out a little bit more or get rid of them in total. Like, I think we're kind of at that end of this season, and both of the guys, Lee and Brett, like to take a good amount of time off in between just because it is 8 months of grind for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're looking forward to having their 1 month off before making them think about Battletech again.
Do something different. Go outside and touch grass.
That's the funny thing is we're going out to
Langley for a Battletech tournament.
I've heard. I was contemplating it, but my wife's actually got a job surgery coming up, and that's probably her recovery timeline. So I'm aiming for Gamescom in Edmonton, but beyond that, no.
We're not going up to Edmonton. We're choosing to do Langley instead, so.
Mm-hmm. It's a good move.
I don't want to grace Edmonton with my presence. I've graced them twice in the span of like 3 weeks. I don't need to go again.
Yeah.
It's a place. It's a thing.
Yeah, it's north of us.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Not saying anybody who lives in Edmonton. Like, it's like, that sounds really bad, but it's like, it's Edmonton. I went to high school there, just north of it. And I'm like, I never planned to ever move back there.
Fair enough.
We know that you play Battletech. What are some other things that you like to do outside of Battletech?
Well, I'm the cook of the house, so I like experimenting with that. Desserts, mains, some appies, still broadening that horizon. It's fun. And it's just something that gets me away from handhelds and other distractions, like video games, as much as I love them. Reading, I've always been a book nerd. Absolutely love reading. And yes, Battletech got me back into that. I picked up a set of 7 books from Gamescom in June. Those are all done. Painting, I'm kind of a stay-at-home body. I like the hobbies that work with my hands. And mostly I actually like teaching people how to do stuff. With my previous job, I was actually educating corporate CEOs on how to use softwares and things. I learned a lot about myself in the teacher role, so that was very interesting for me. Still do some educating for my coworkers at my workplace, which is fun here and there, but teaching people how to love hobbies is by far my favorite choice of those. Board games are a great joy. My wife picked up something called Flamecraft fairly recently. So you set up a whole bunch of stalls, you get to put dragons on it, enchantments, modify a city. It's got some really cute minis for it too, and it's super easy to learn. I like games like that or super complex ones. They're all good.
Well, I know when we did our interview, or I did my interview with you in the fall, we had some good chats about games. I know that.
Redwall and that series with books, Catan and that board game, and then Mice and Mystics with that board game.
We still haven't played, hey Laura?
No, I need to finish painting them.
Yeah, but we can play without painting them. We're not 40k people.
Three colors. 3 colors is tabletop ready.
Unpainted is tabletop ready.
Come on, Darren didn't paint his lines this year.
Also true.
Yeah, well. No, I think it's cool that you like to teach people stuff. Being a teacher in my professional life, I can't even say currently, in my past, I don't know how to say it, but an educator. I think it's cool when other people like to teach, especially if you just have a passion for it, right? It helps give the other people that you're teaching the desire.
Well, then if you're wrong about something and someone lets you know what the actual right answer is, that's even better because you've learned from something
Exactly. I definitely love that. It's definitely a big part. And I tell my kids, I'm not always right. I'm not an encyclopedia or something. So we'll all good.
Well, and that wraps up our interview with Scott, our C Division champion this year. Thank you for coming on and having a chat with us.
Thanks for joining us, Scott.
Thank you both for having me. I really appreciated being here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, once again, we had a wonderful interview with Scott. Thank you for joining us. And if you missed our first one, again, go and listen to our Division D interview. And stay tuned for our next episode with our Division B champion, Gary.